Good morning. My name is Jacob Booth, and I am the Weird Christian Dude. Today we are going to be studying Genesis chapter 19. And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. So the two angels that were with God went down to Sodom, and Lot met them with humility by following his face to the ground, which is also how people worship God in a lot of cases. I don't think this is worship. This is more like begging, because he's keeping watch at the city gate to protect any travelers that would come in this area because it's dangerous, as we'll find out. Verse 2, and he said, "Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and you shall rise up early, and go on your ways." And they said, "Nay, but we will abide in the streets all night." And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and baked unleavened bread, and they did eat. So it's dangerous for people to just be outside at night in Sodom, and Lot protects them by letting these complete strangers who are traveling stay in his house. I also think it's interesting that he made them a feast of unleavened bread. That comes up a few times when there are unexpected guests. You make unleavened bread because it's fast and they have to cook everything fresh. That's how that was back then. Verse 4. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. So news travels fast that there are two strangers in the city, and all of the men in the city come to Lot's house because they want to know them. This is how the Bible refers to intimate relations. Now, all of the other men of the city are homosexuals, and they want to basically rape these two angels that look like people. That's pretty rough, but there's a lot of evil in the world, and that's why God wants to get rid of the city. Verse 6. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold now, I have two daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing. For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. So Lot offers this crowd of men his two virgin daughters to have sex with them instead of with these two strangers. That's pretty not good. A lot of people wouldn't even imagine doing such a thing. And somehow Lot is the least corrupt person in Sodom. To just put in perspective how evil that city was. There's also a stronger need to protect people that are your guests. It's not just hospitality. So when it talks about they come under the shadow of my roof, you basically take responsibility for them in all aspects. So verse 9, and they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. and they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. Yeah, so Lot was a foreigner, and now he's judging the crowd to tell them to not do something, and they turn violent against him. That's something we can relate to in modern times. People get triggered anytime you object to immoral behavior. And so the crowd sort of projects self righteousness onto Lot and threatens to rape him. Like, you're bad because of reasons. So they justify whatever they want to do bad back at him. And that's also sort of reflects modern society, that the aggressors play the victim to justify any actions that they want. Verse 10. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. So the crowd tangled with angels and all got blinded. That was, don't do that. Obviously, that angels have a lot of powers that we don't understand, and they get to do things that God wants. So smiting them all with blindness didn't seem like even a hard thing for them. Verse 12. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city? Bring them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. So the angels warn Lot of what's going to happen, and those two angels are going to destroy the city. And there's actually two angels, and they're going to destroy two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. So blindness is a pretty minor effect, because when they do destroy it, they basically are like super nukes. Like in World War II, the United States dropped 2 nuclear weapons on Japan and Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And things survived that blast. There's actually an arch from the 1500s that survived a nuclear blast. It's called the Arch of Nagasaki. And it withstood a nuclear blast. And their buildings were still standing. And within 3 days, a train was running again to bring supplies to the survivors. And they had a major reconstruction project within like 9 years. And now Nagasaki is a massive city of 200,000 people, and you can't even tell anything happened. But when God destroys stuff, it's gone forever. Sodom and Gomorrah are still gone. In fact, there's most likely underneath the southernmost tip of the aptly named Dead Sea, gone forever, underwater. That's how destroyed it is. So just to try to grasp the powers of these two unnamed angels is super nukes. Just my perspective. Verse 14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get thee out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, and the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. So The angels had to forcibly remove Lot and his family from the city because Lot didn't want to leave. As evil as it was, that's where he was. That was his home, and that's where he was used to. And sometimes God has to forcibly move you for your own good. So he was given instructions to not look back and to go to the mountain. Verse 18. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my lord. Behold, now thy servant has found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me, and I die. Now, behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything until thou come thither. Therefore the name of the city is called Zoar. Some of the grammar's hard, but basically there is a tiny city in between Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's where Lot requested to go instead of the mountain. He didn't feel safe in the mountain, but they let him do that. And as it says, the angels couldn't do anything until Lot was gone. They had very specific instructions to make sure that Lot lived. So after Lot had escaped, then they're allowed to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. So he is sort of renegotiated his own rescue, which is a little bit silly, but don't help me this way, help me that way. I don't know. That's how you save your life, I guess. So Zoar, however, does have a significance in that it has archaeological evidence has been found, which supports the biblical account. One, in that it exists, and two, they had business dealings with both other cities. So it has a additional source of information proving Sodom and Gomorrah did in fact exist. Verse 23. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. So that is how they get destroyed. Fire and brimstone. It's pretty spectacular, and it destroys everything completely. That's why Lot had to not be in the area. Verse 26. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Wow. So Lot's wife looked back, which that sort of signifies that she had a longing to be still in those cities. Doesn't say exactly, but in verse 17, the angel specifically warned them, do not look back. And she did. But surprise, the punishment is you become a pillar of salt. No one ever would have guessed that. And they didn't tell what the consequences were. They just said, don't do it. That's it. And people don't always like that answer. But if you think about it, if someone's like, hey, don't do this, and the other person says, or what? Then they're weighing their options. Is this thing actually bad as the punishment or not? And in this case, you become a pillar of salt. If you're not going to listen, then I guess the punishment isn't really going to convince you. So don't do it, because they're saving your life already. Now, verse 27. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain. And behold, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plains, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. So God spared Lot and basically his two daughters, the only people that listened to him, because of Abraham. That's one of the things that shows the importance of relationships, because Lot didn't spare Lot because he was Lot. He spared Lot because he was Abraham's nephew. Verse 30. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters. Okay, in verse 17, the angels literally told him, go and flee to the mountains. And Lot renegotiated to go to Zoar. And now he's fleeing to the mountains anyway. So he took the scenic route. But being in Zoar was scarier because both cities on both sides rain down fire and brimstone, and you're in this tiny little pocket that survived. Tiny little village of Zoar. So that's got to be pretty terrifying. So now he's afraid to live there. So then he does, in fact, go and do what the angels told him to in the first place. Verse 31. And the firstborn said unto the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, behold, I lay yesterday with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both of the daughters of Lot with child by their father. Wow. So that is a completely unusual type of circumstance that just people can't even imagine this would exist in the Bible. But the fact that this was not excluded actually legitimizes this account more. Because if you were trying to make yourself look good, you just wouldn't include that stuff. But this happened, and this is the truth, so it's in there. It's some type of weird incest reverse statutory rape. I don't know. This is the only circumstance that I've ever heard of where something like this happens. So, yeah, that's the thing. Verse 37. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Amin. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. So this is the origin of the Moabites and the Ammonites. They are around repeatedly in the Old Testament, primarily as rivals of Israel, and they live on the east side of Jordan, towards the northern end of the Jordan River. So the children of Abraham's nephews are the Moabites and Amorites, and Israel is Abraham's grandson. So it's just an expanded family tree, and as you pointed out, God cares about families and respects their origins, even if they make mistakes. And in Deuteronomy chapter 2, God specifically commands Israel not to distress or meddle with the Moabites and their Amorites. And he creates those boundaries that they stay over there and you stay over here because they are children of Lot. And Lot is the nephew of Abraham. So, for whatever reason, God chooses to extend this type of respect and protection to Abraham's relatives. Well, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful evening, and you are always welcome to come and talk to me.